Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. And happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all you daddies that are out there listening in. Thanks for spending your Father's Day, your special day with us. And I appreciate you. I am Reverend Theresa Fieberts, and this is, I think, our 15th Sunday love streaming. Our 15th love streaming. I love that idea that we're love streaming. And I do feel like we are, even though I don't see you, I do feel the love coming from me and then back from you. And I love it. So I'm going to encourage you to keep that up. We continue to connect and grow community in this way. And it's nice to have that back and forth, that little bit of feedback. So I'm going to be asking you to do that a few times this morning. My first ask is this: share the link. Share this link. Share it with your friends. You know, you can even do watch parties with your friends. Set up little groups and do it that way. Um, if you're on our main Facebook page, we get the chat going there, and I'm going to ask you to. You can invite your friends that way by tagging them. And anyway, I want us to continue to connect. That's important to me, and you're going to hear more about that in a minute. There is always a greater truth, a greater reality than maybe what we're experiencing. So right now, many of us are still experiencing some loneliness. We're still in isolation. We're really not out there full force with each other. And that's what Science of Mind offers us. It offers us a way of life that we can tap into a reality, tune into a truth beyond the condition and the experience that we find ourselves in. It offers us practical tools in order to do that. We look to spiritual principles, which are those unchanging truths, again with a capital T, those ideas about life that aren't affected by conditions, things like oneness, that there's a unity, that there's one source, one substance of all life, animating life, that type of idea. And that is an unchanging presence in the changing world. And so we attune our eyes to see in that way through the Science of Mind. And we learn tools and techniques that we can awaken to or awaken within and align with, in recognition that this is a creative and intelligent universe. And we too have that ability. We're creative beings, and we participate in this creative process through the use of our thoughts, our intentions, and our words, which we're going to be talking about this morning. This is a relevant spirituality. It is focused on the God of the living and not the God of the dead, as Emerson would have said. And so all month long, we've been talking about being mindful mavericks, and I'm so delighted with this topic. I've practiced mindfulness for many years, and I love the idea of bringing it into my life in very tangible ways. The world really needs us to be bold, and that's what a maverick is. So we want to be aware, mindful, but yet bold in our delivery. And this morning, we're specifically talking about speak our words. So my talk title is Speak Up, but first listen. Speak up, but first listen. So let's take that concept now into a moment where we recognize that we can consciously, intentionally use this power for good in the universe. And I do so through aligning myself right here and right now with that presence, knowing that it is the allness of life, that I am immersed in it, filled with it, and it is moving in, as, and through me now. Through my thoughts, through my words, my deeds, and my actions, I invite that level of communion this morning for myself and for each person that's listening in, whether you're listening in now or you hear it later. And you know what? Let's just expand it to the whole world. That every person is a divine incarnation of the one, tapped in, tuned on, turned on and tuned in. Yeah. Spirit's moving in, as, and through life this day, through each one of us. And so I celebrate that truth. I allow it to unfold itself in its brilliance, its magnificence, and I get my bloated nothingness out of the way and allow it to do its good and perfect work here and now. Yeah. And so it is. Thanks for being here with us this morning. We've got a treat. We have our own Elaine Silver, who Elaine is a licensed spiritual practitioner with the Centers for Spiritual Living, and she's a CSL Cultural Coast board member and one of our licensed practitioners, and of course a songbird, a genius with writing songs, and we're so happy to have her with us this morning. So welcome, please welcome Elaine Silver.
Good morning, everybody. This is a song that I wrote many, many years ago. It's called Heavenly Kingdom when I first got into the Science of Mind principles in Morristown, New Jersey. But this morning on my bicycle ride, I came up with a few more words that are pertinent to Theresa's talk today on mindfulness and nonviolent communication. It's called Heavenly Kingdom. Heavenly Kingdom, I know you're inside me, causing my spirit to soar. Ready to guide me, you've never denied me. You are what I've come here for. Infinite wisdom, a power that moves me, a great celebration of life. Like beautiful music that heals me and soothes me, bringing me into the light. Knowing the truth, I'm always renewed, seeing myself, reflecting in you. Knowing I'm whole, I understand, touching the soul, all that I am. Knowing the truth in my heart and mind, I think before speaking, 'cause I can't rewind. The words that I say are loving and kind, when I remember the truth in my mind. Wonderful Spirit with arms that enfold me, comforting me here and now. All of my needs are met, and even if I forget, I'm taken care of somehow. Knowing the truth, I'm always renewed, seeing myself, reflecting in you. Knowing I'm whole, I understand, touching the soul, all that I am, touching the soul, all that I am, touching the soul, all that I am.
Oh, thank you, Elaine. Thank you very much. That's what we're talking about. This reading today is from the Science of Mind, page 56. I am a center in the divine mind, a point of God-conscious life, truth, and action. My affairs are divinely guided and guarded into right action, into correct results. Everything I do, say, or think is stimulated by the truth. There is power in this word that I speak because it is of the truth, and it is the truth. There is perfect and continuous right action in my life and my affairs. All belief in wrong action is dispelled and made negative. Right action alone has power, and right action is power, and power is God, the living Spirit Almighty. The Spirit animates everything that I do, say, or think. Ideas come to me daily, and these ideas are divine ideas. They direct me and sustain me without effort. I am continuously directed. I am compelled to do the right thing at the right time, to say the right word at the right time, to follow the right course at all times. All suggestion of age, poverty, limitation, or unhappiness is uprooted from my mind and cannot gain entrance to my thoughts. I am happy, well, and filled with perfect life. I live in the Spirit of truth and am conscious that the Spirit of truth lives in me. My word is the law unto its own manifestation, and will bring to me or cause me to be brought to its fulfillment. There is no unbelief, no doubt, no uncertainty. I know, and I know that I know. Let every thought of doubt vanish from my mind, that I may know the truth, and the truth may make me free. And now another song from Elaine.
Here, okay. Well, I have a couple of things I wanted to do. It shouldn't take that long. When I was trying to figure out what songs to do today, I went into my computer and I found this poem that I don't remember writing it. I don't remember when it happened. And so I'm going to read a poem and then do a little, it's a short song that I'll talk about. But the poem is called Go There. It goes like this. Feelings come and feelings go, and feelings let us know. The truth inside no longer hides. It comes up to help us grow. When conflict raises up its voice in anger and despair, use these feelings for revealing. Go inside. Go there. Go there into darkness. Go where there is no light. Go into the deepest depth. Go there with inner sight. Go there into the abyss and more. Go there to the bottom floor. Go there now, for God knows how to bring you back to light. Feeling feelings lets us see where we may be blind. Feeling feelings helps us hear and remember to be kind. Surrender to the dark of night. Give time to make it right. The answer is always from within. The universe now ready to begin. A brand new start, an open heart, and love that sets us free. An open heart and a brand new start to dwell in possibility. Feelings come and feelings go, and feelings let us know. The truth inside no longer hides. It comes up to help us grow. When conflict raises up its voice in anger and despair, use these feelings for revealing. Go inside. Go there. Oh, that's that one. And I was riding my bike a few weeks ago and saw some people and said good morning, and it was like I was invisible. I wasn't there. So I thought that to myself. I didn't say it, but I thought, what am I, invisible? So then I just got this idea for a little song called An Invisible Woman. It goes like this. I'm an invisible woman. I'm an invisible woman. I'm an invisible woman. I've got superpowers. I'm an invisible woman, and I'm an empowered woman. I'm an empowered woman, blessed with superpowers. My power is my consciousness. My power is my happiness. My power is my gratefulness. My power is my gracefulness. My power is my mindfulness. My power is my joyfulness.
And so it is. Yes, and so it is. That was beautiful. Thanks, Elaine. Loved that poem. That was gorgeous. Wonderful. So, as I said, the monthly theme this month is Mindfulness for Mavericks. Love the title, love the whole concept, and I think it's been really great timing for us as well. And so this week is specifically on mindful speech. And these prompts, or our outline, if you will, came this month from the Centers for Spiritual Living Cultural Integrity and Evolution Subcommittee. And so I wanted to thank them. I do take a lot of liberty with what they send, but at the very least, I love the topics this month. So I hope you're enjoying it too. And I invite you to go back and listen to the first two this month if this is a subject that really speaks to you. So I want to start with a story. Not necessarily a great story. It's I'm telling on myself. I had our board meeting on Monday, and I didn't show up on best form. I just really didn't. I was super tired, not even recognizing how tired I was, and I said things that I had no intention of saying. I mean, not even that I had no intention of saying, but it wasn't on the agenda, but even beyond that, I hadn't even thought about saying those things. Have you ever done that? Have you ever, like walked away from a conversation and been like, why did I say that? What was I thinking? Or where did that come from? Yeah, where did that come from? And so I was kind of complaining. I was complaining about feeling alone and needing help and that kind of stuff. And so one of the board members said, well, what can we do to support you? What do you need? And I was like, like the deer in the headlights, I had nothing to offer because, again, I hadn't planned to even go down that road or to say any of the things that I had said. So upon reflection that evening, and note to self, the reflection is supposed to be before the meeting, not after the meeting. So note to self, and you might take note of that one too. What I realized was I was really missing my family, my spiritual family. I was missing my peeps, and that's what was behind the words I said. But man, it was a mess up the way it came out. So I realized that something came out of my mouth, but that something was not my truth with the capital T, and it was not my values either. So the truth is that, for example, Hector and Mike have been with me before Bobby and I started, any of this. I mean, they were really there in the beginning, and we created this community through teamwork. And and I was seeing them every Sunday. I mean, every Sunday morning they were there. They were there early. I mean, Hector's setting up the entire room. He's sweeping the floor. He's there. He's got his heart and soul into it, right? And then Mike's doing the offering portion. And I'm feeling that closeness and that connectivity. And that was then, and this is now. And after 15 weeks of doing this, I think what turned around in my head was, you're not helping me anymore. to be blunt, I think that's kind of what I sounded like. And no help, not helping, really, what that mixed up translation was, I love you, I miss you, I need you, I want to be connected to you, you're my family. And I was like the grumpy Betty White in the Snickers commercial, That's what I felt like. It may not have been that bad, but that's kind of what it felt like. And so, the tagline in that commercial is, you aren't you when you're hungry. Well, hangry, we use hangry in my household, but you aren't you sometimes when you show up in conversations, right? I'm not me sometimes when I show up. So here's the thing that I really want you to walk away with. this morning. This is the nugget that I feel like, and what I have to say is make sure that you understand your own intentions and motivations before you speak up. Mindful speaking requires mindful listening, and the place to begin that is always within. And so that really is the nugget that I want us to take away this morning. My less than stellar showing at my board meeting is an opportunity for all of us to up-level. It's an opportunity for all of us to learn how to do it better. So my message this morning is titled Speak Up, but First Listen. Because I want us to speak up. I want to be able to use my voice. I think it's very important to use my voice. Each one of us we're like well, Elaine just said she's got superpowers, and that's right. We do have superpowers. We're unique, individualized mini me's of the creator, right? We are mini me's of the creator. We have that same, we're a reflection, we have that same power and presence about us to create. We're here for a reason. We're here to live our lives out loud. Every single one of us. I believe that's our truth. But in order to do that effectively, we need to be clear about our intention, right? We need to be clear. I was inspired this week, very inspired by my books over here. Brene Brown, Dare to Lead, and Tracy Brown. Actually should have put Tracy's book up there. But Tracy Brown is the immediate past chair of the Centers for Spiritual Living Leadership Council. She's a practitioner, and she does a lot of work around racism and helping us with what is mine to do, helping us hone in on what is mine to do. So I'm going to talk about that a teeny bit, and also Marshall Rosenberg's work with nonviolent communication. And now, you might have a similar thought that I've had, why violent communication? I don't have violent communication. I mean, my communication at the board wasn't violent, but yet, let's look at the subtlety. If we're ever in a place where we're hurting someone else or harming someone else, whether it's ourselves or another, that is an act of violence. On the scale, it is an act of violence. And so I love his work, Marshall Rosenberg's work. It really does call us into a mindful approach to our communications and really understanding ourselves. And so he wrote this about nonviolent communication. He said, it guides us to reframe the way we express ourselves and listen to others by focusing our consciousness on 4 areas: what we're observing, feeling, and needing, and what we're requesting in order to enrich our lives. Those things require some inner work, right? Some inner awareness. So he goes on and says, nonviolent communication fosters deep listening, respect, and empathy, and it engenders a mutual desire to give from the heart. And man, I say yes to that. I say yes to that. If that's what being a mindful maverick is, yes, 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 that's what I want to be. That's what I want to be. Last week, I talked about the power of intention with you. And our word is an important piece of that creative process. And I talked quite a bit about the creative process, that we're either creating from default or we're creating from choice. And so go back and listen to that one. Mindful mavericks know the value of our state of consciousness and being in an awareness of our state of consciousness before we speak, right? Before we speak. And our world is crying out for that kind of communication right now, I think. Our world needs heartfelt, mindful conversations. We seem to be so polarized in this country, and it's a shame. And I think that this is a way that can help us come together to understand, to speak from that deep place of truth, to speak from that deep place of our spiritual principles, our values, our ideals. So I want to ask you, how equipped do you feel? How equipped do you feel to have effective conscious communications right now with all the topics that are on the table? How effective and how ready do you feel? And what I'd love to see is, I'm not going to watch them right now, but I would love for you to post this in the chat. Please share this information and let us go on this journey together, right? So let us know. Do you feel equipped? Because what we say matters. Your word matters, right? In the Bible, we read in John, we read, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes has interpreted this as the Word of God means the power of spirit to declare itself into manifestation, into form. The Word of God means the self-contemplation of spirit. It's how the manifest universe came into being and how it continues to come into being by means of us. We are reproducing the creative function in our own lives at the level of our consciousness. Now, last week, again, I talked about the work of David Hawkins and how he came to calibrate or measure the vibrations that people give off when they're in certain feelings. Elaine's saying about feelings, right? So one person vibrating at the level of optimism, just optimism. One person looking at a condition and seeing it as possibility, seeing the presence of spirit in that condition, right? One person vibrating at a level of optimism with the willingness to suspend judgment, which is uber important, the willingness to suspend judgment, counterbalances 90,000 people that are vibrating at a lower or weakened level. Those that are vibrating at the level of anger or hatred or judgment and criticism. One person willing to suspend judgment and to speak from a place of empowerment, optimism. We make a difference. Our word makes a difference. We need to be clear. We need to be clear. In the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes wrote, word is the starting point of all creation. And he goes on to say that until we realize that our own word has power, the power of life, we will not see clearly. So we have great power within us. And we have great power to cause harm as well, to cause harm with our speech. At best, when we're unaware, disconnected, fumbling along, at best, we don't accomplish our goal, right? It was a lousy conversation. We didn't get anywhere with it. At worst, we hurt people. We damage relationships. We damage friendships. We hurt people. And also, we do harm by not speaking up. And I think that today we are seeing the results of centuries of silence. And I can no longer participate in that. I don't know about you, but I can no longer be silent about the injustices, inequalities that we see in the Black community. It is just unconscionable. It is not right for white to stay silent. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment too. Look, we're co-creating life here. We're co-creating life, and we speak life into action, into form by our alignment with spirit. So it's important. All this is super important. And I love talking about it. You know, I don't have time to go through all the different modalities that are available to us and to do it at an in-depth level this morning where we really can hone our skills. But let me just give you a quick kind of overview of two approaches. One is Brene Brown's, and it's throughout her work, but I was reading Dare to Lead, where she talks about the importance of knowing our core values. Knowing our core values, and she says everything else flows from there. She said, quote, living into our values means that we do more than profess our values, we practice them, we walk our talk. So she recommends, and she gives a list of like 50 or so qualities or core values that we might have, and she invites us to select just two. And mine, they came pretty quick because I've done this work before. It's spirituality and authenticity. Spirituality and authenticity. But when we are walking our talk in that way, aware of what our core values are, then our intentions, our words, our thoughts, and our behaviors that are aligned with our beliefs come through, and we are effective. It's a different way to be. Now, using my examples, let me give you an idea of how this comes into play, how it might affect our behaviors, is spirituality for me. That's my number one core value. I believe that this is a spiritual universe, that there are spiritual principles in operation all the time, and that I am a spiritual being, you are a spiritual being, and that we are living a human experience. And so I like to say often that we have our 2 feet planted in our spirituality and our human experience. But that calls me to see beyond the condition, see beyond circumstances, knowing that there's a greater reality seeking expression in as and through everything, myself and the person that I might be communicating with too. And then the other piece of that for me that's highly important is to understand and recognize that I'm always creating, that I'm always in that process of creation. So to be hyper aware of my thoughts and my words, right? So then authenticity, that piece of it is, well, how does spirit express itself through me, individually through me? And to recognize that my voice has value, great value. You know, if you ever question that, if you ever question that you have something important to contribute, I invite you to go listen to Angel Peace's spoken word, which is Your Voice Matters, or My Voice Matters. You can find her on YouTube or Reverb Nation. I can post a link after the talk, so you can find that. And Angel has been with us at the community, and she has done that piece for us. And it's very powerful. Your voice matters. It does. And so does mine. Each one of us are an incarnation of spirit. Again, like I said, we're many me's. It's moving in as and through me, in as and through you. And so when I'm communicating with someone, even if it's a contentious, seemingly conversation of contention, I'm engaged with spirit. If I can remember that, I can listen with respect. I can speak from a place of love. I can listen deeply. I can listen intuitively. And that's a beautiful place to live. I'll give you another example of how this might work out. I saw an absolute beautiful conversation going on Facebook this week around the concept, the use of the words white privilege. And I want to thank you, Diana, for your grace. This was a grace-filled conversation that I saw. And one of the things that was said was that as a white person, I don't see that the use of white privilege or the conversation around white privilege as anything for us to be ashamed of or guilty of. I'm going to use some of my own words, or be defensive about. In reality, it's an opportunity for us to understand something. It's an opportunity for us to listen and learn and have a deeper understanding of our country, of our history, of who we are and where we are today and where we want to go, you know? So I'm going to say a few things and see if you can suspend judgment and hear it. I am white. I don't consider myself a bigot. I didn't create the system that we live within, I've been largely unaware. But now that I am waking up to it, I see that I have had benefits that maybe others haven't had. I see people in my family that have had benefits that maybe our Black brothers and sisters haven't had, that people of color maybe don't experience. They don't. I mean, quite frankly, many times over and over. And so it's an opportunity, and again, I say largely unaware. I was raised in Virginia, North Carolina, and Florida. That's where I went to school. So my education of American history from 5th grade to 8th grade was probably different than maybe American history in the eastern north or out west. I might have got a little something different. And our heroes might have been different people in those books. I was 40 before I learned that really regionally and by school, they picked the history books. It's quite of an interesting concept, isn't it? So I joined in because I believe that this is a great opportunity for us to learn. It's an opportunity for me to learn. And if I want to engage in these conversations, I need to take a pause. I need to take a pause and truly listen and understand and educate myself. And so that's what I've been doing. And I did a 5-day challenge with Tracy Brown around, white folks learning to talk about racism. And the very first thing that she suggests is that we know our why. Understand why. Why do you want to have this conversation? Why is it important to you? Why do you want to get involved in the conversation? And what do you hope to achieve by it? I equate those two ideas to Brene Brown's speak from your values. What's motivating me? What is my intention? What do I hope to accomplish? Really wonderful things for us to keep at the top of our minds when we're getting ready to enter into a conversation. Now, Marshall Rosenberg's work around nonviolent communication, he says if we express our needs, we have a better chance of getting them met. So there's another way that we can look at it. There's another modality for us to learn, is to be able to recognize our own needs and to recognize the needs within the person that we're talking with. And then to be able to articulate what would work for us, how to have our needs met. But I feel very clear and confident that I cannot be silent right now given the things that are going on in our country, that my voice does matter and I must speak up, but first I must listen. And I just think that that's prudent advice for all of us. We need to be clear with our communication and know that we're in alignment with our highest truth when we're speaking. And this is really what practitioners learn. Our practitioners learn about the creative process, and they learn to be clear and direct with the words that they use because we are planting seeds, right? We're planting seeds. We want to be clear and direct. And many of us are not taught that. We're not taught to communicate that way, especially women. I wasn't taught to be direct and blunt with what I wanted. Certainly wasn't taught that in my house. So it may require us to slow down, to take a pause, to listen, to feel in, because we're breaking a habitual cycle of maybe staying silent or speaking without thinking or that type of thing. Our breath is important. The beginning of the month, Julie Birch led us in a beautiful practice of paying attention to your breath. Use that. And the more you do that on the cushion, as we say, the more you experience it off the cushion, the more the benefit is in your walking around everyday life. Marshall Rosenberg talked about his mom attended one of his events, one of his workshops, and she told him afterwards, she said, 36 years of being angry with his father, and she realized she never really asked him for what she wanted. Can you relate to that? It's self-defeating for us to be indirect. It's self-defeating for us to be indirect with our words. Mavericks are bold. Mavericks are bold. They're powerful. Mindful mavericks are tuned in and they're using their voices wisely, wisely. So I'd love for us to really go deep with this idea. You know, in March, I had a workshop planned for the end of the month with my dear friend, Reverend Cindy Grimes, and we canceled it, well, postponed it. So maybe it's time to bring that workshop back. It was a peace building workshop. How do we talk around difficult topics and how can we be in a place of peace with that? We also have an opportunity that we could engage in a nonviolent communication class. And you'll hear more about that. But first, I'd like to hear if you're interested. So here's another assignment. Post in the chat. If you think that that's something you'd be interested in doing, we do it online, and we'll get these things scheduled in. So my learning experience with my board meeting was definitely to slow down, check in with myself. You know, I try to cram so much into that hour or hour and a half that I have with the board that I'm not checking in enough with my own feeling. And so I recognize that. We need to take our time around this when we're forming new habits. And it feels awkward, you know? It feels awkward to do things deliberately, but that's okay. That's okay. It's a valuable thing to do. You might ask yourself, if you find you're in a situation, what am I needing that I'm not getting? What am I needing that I'm not getting? And then check in with yourself, check that against your core values. And I bet you'll find what it is, what your request is. So in closing, I want us to remember that mindful speech occurs when we mindfully listen, when we listen within ourselves, when we get clear, when we're aligned with our core values, when we know what it is that we need, and we can effectively articulate our request without blame, without judgment. Yeah, to be in a place of optimism. Yeah. So that's your challenge for the week, to speak from that place, to speak from the inside out, because you're speaking your world into being. You're speaking your world into being. I want to close with this affirmation that Bobby read, and I'm going to read it again. I am compelled to do the right thing at the right time, to say the right word at the right time, to follow the right course at all times. This is what I know for you. And so it is. Now we're going to go back to Elaine.
Hi again. That was great, Theresa. So it's self-defeating for us to be vague with our word. That's really good. Well, the song I'm going to be singing for you is called I Choose Love. And I wrote this a while ago, too. It's about love or fear. You know, when we're conscious, we'll choose love. When we remember that it's a choice, we'll choose it. But I wrote a little part for the kindness section. It was fun to be creative on my bicycle this morning. I choose love. I choose I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. Two more. Finish. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love.
I choose love. Thank you, Elaine. Yes, yes, I do choose love. And I love having you with us, Elaine. So thank you so much for being here, for bringing your brilliance and your love. It's our time of giving, and I want to remind you that we can bring this idea, this concept, this activity of being a mindful maverick into every aspect of our lives, into every aspect. So our finances too, right? Bring this concept of being mindful of where you spend your money, how you spend your money, and asking yourself, am I in alignment with my core values as I spend my money? And so, hi.
Hi.
So, Evan is going to post into Facebook now our 4 ways of giving. And if you're watching us on YouTube, it's also up there at the description. You might have to click the more, but all those ways are right there. And we do appreciate very much your support of this ministry. We thank you in advance for helping us keep it going and reaching out to you so we can reach out to you. Also, I'm going to ask you as mindful mavericks to read along with us this affirmation. So Evan's going to post this Ernest Holmes affirmation, and let us all read this out loud together with the power of our word, knowing that the power of our word is creative. And so read it not only for yourself, but for others, knowing that all people have their desires met, that all people have the good that they need. Okay? Good and more good is mine.
An ever-increasing good is mine.
There is no limit to the good that is mine.
Everywhere I go, I see this good, I feel it, I experience it.
It crowds itself against me, flows through me, and expresses itself in me, and multiplies itself around me.
I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on.
Thank you, Bobby. I so love that. I so love that. So I just have a couple quick announcements that we have opportunities during the week to continue our connections, and just want to point those out. I have decided to drop the Tuesday for this time. We weren't really having a tremendous turnout on that. So I think we'll maybe fill in the space with something else. And so maybe if you have some ideas, you want to put that in the chat. But we'll be open to what wants to happen on Tuesday evenings. But for now, we're still doing the Thursday night meditation with Julie Birch, which is so fabulous, so phenomenal. It starts at 6:30. You need to be on our email list to get the link for that. And so you can go to our website to get on the email list. And the website is CSLCC, cslculturalcoast.org. And speaking of Julie, I have a big announcement. Many of you know that Julie and 2 others have been in our practitioner training program, which is a 2-year program, and they have to have 2 years of classes prior to that. So it's at least a 4-year journey. And they had their final step yesterday, which was their oral panels, and they all 3 passed, and I'm very excited. So please help me congratulate Julie Birch and Ethelyn Enos and Cindy Geisler as 3 new licensed practitioners for the Centers for Spiritual Living and for us here at Cultural Coast.
Way to go. Yay.
Yeah, so
way to go.
we're very excited about that. And with that, I am going to leave the screen and go post the Zoom link for right after this ends, those few minutes after 12 o'clock. I'll have that Zoom link on. So please join us, and we'll talk about the message today or anything else you want to bring up. I'll be there for you. Okay? Love you bunches. Glad you're with me. Love you. I'm getting out of the way.
All right. Also, I want to mention, like our page, share the video from today if you can. Share it. There's people who need it, and let's put it out there. Also, if you need prayer support, please email prayer@cslculturalcoast.org. prayer@cslculturalcoast.org. Put your prayer requests on there. We have more practitioners than ever now to pray for you. Let's close with Let It Shine. There's a light at the center of everyone. It can light up the world just like the sun. There's a flame within us that can light our way. It can burn away the darkness of a troubled day. Let it shine, let it shine. Let your light shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Let your light shine. Whenever you see darkness, you've got to know that the light is within you. Everywhere you go, whatever you are facing, whatever's on your mind, you can help illuminate it. Let your light shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Let your light shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Let your light shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Let your light shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Let your light shine. All right, let it shine, everybody.